TransLink's Suburban fleet has changed immensely in the last 5 years. For the last 2 decades, the fleet has been entirely served by Orion V units built in 2001 and again in 2007. By 2017, the Orions were getting long in the tooth, and replacements were needed, and a couple of years later, 2 vehicles were selected to replace them. One was the long-awaited Alexander Dennis Enviro 500. Since their first appearance on Vancouver Island in 2000, their Vancouver debut was highly anticipated, with units already delivered to Alberta Strathcona County Transit and Ontario's GO Transit before finally starting service in late 2019. Apart from some early coolant problems, the Dennises have had an overall positive impact on the fleet structure. The other vehicle, however, did not get the same reception. It would in fact become TransLink's most controversial vehicle when it made its debut, the Nova LFS Suburban. The Nova Suburban was first introduced in 2004, with 2 prototypes built. One was first seen in Las Vegas UMA event in 2005 before being shipped to Autobus Le Quebecois in 2005. The second unit was demonstrated across Alberta and British Columbia, including an early cameo in Vancouver. After its trip, it would make its debut at Leduc bus lines. The LFS Suburban saw very little success and would quickly become an elusive variant outside of Nova's homeland in Quebec. The only operators of the type, as of 2017, were BC Transit's Cowichan Valley and Pemberton operations, Rockford Transit, the aforementioned Leduc lines in Ontario, and Strathcona County Transit in Alberta. The Coast Mountain Bus Company joined a small list of operators in 2019, with their vehicles based off the Gen 4 platform introduced 6 years prior. These buses definitely look sharp, especially as the first vehicles painted in the current blue top livery, a paint scheme that would look equally as good on future models. But like with other vehicles, looks aren't the be-all and end-all. And here lies the problem. This is the inside of an Orion V Suburban. It's a little old school, but it gives riders like you and I the confidence that the bus would give a nice ride. This is the Alexander Dennis Enviro 500's interior. It's not as comfy as the Orion's, but still looks professional. And this is the interior of a Nova LFS Suburban. There is so much wrong with this. To start with, the elephant in the room. The luggage racks. They look like they have served as a jail cell in another life, which is a common theme with this vehicle. The reading lights attached to them are also cheaply made and look worse than the Orions. Also, weren't these supposed to have USB ports? Because unless they are invisible, they're clearly not there. Neither is there sufficient air conditioning from the fans or window ventilation, and the only windows that could possibly be opened are in the rear, making these buses quite the comfortable experience in summer conditions. Also instilling confidence are the front seats just casually strapped to the wheel well in front of the driver's compartment. I would rather fly a CRJ 200 than sit in these seats for any length of time in these buses. But how is the ride quality? Surely it's better than the interior. It's mid. It's mid at best. Even compared to its Gen 4 relatives, the LFS Suburban performs the worst. The bus's Cummins L9 motor, like its new Flyer counterpart, is an efficient but generic sounding engine, and is not very smooth. The Novas in general are not as smooth as some of their Flyer counterparts, but on the HEV and CNG, their routes don't typically run at highway speeds, making their stutters or hard suspension not too noticeable. On the Suburban, both are painfully obvious. The seats, like like on the LFS HEVs, are hard and not the most comfortable. The rear side seats also bounce around like crazy. On the LFS HEV, this isn't really that noticeable since the bus travels in stop-and-go traffic. But on a long-distance suburban bus like the LFS Suburban, it is quite noticeable. Logistically, these buses are a mixed bag. All suburban buses suffer from a lack of a rear door, but on the Orions, the comfortable ride makes up for it. The LFS does have improved access for wheelchair users with its lower floor at the front, allowing for up to 2 to comfortably sit up front, but apart from this, the bus's flexibility has lots to be desired on busier trips. Crowding on the LFS Suburban, like on the other Gen 4s, is exacerbated by its 2-floor design. Thanks to most of these negative qualities, riders hated riding the LFS Suburban, but it wasn't just to commuters. The agency may have had some mixed feelings on the units as well. Aforementioned Dennis Enviros were a massive improvement. They have better capacity, more comfortable seats, and proved more versatile on busier routes. They also had the bonus of having the features that TransLink actually promised, like the USB ports and actual air vents. The double-deckers quickly became the new face of the Suburban fleet and the main frontrunner replacing the Orions on most of their former routes. Meanwhile, the LFS Suburbans were relegated to smaller, less traveled routes as a supporting vehicle. On weekdays, they can be found running on lower traffic express routes during rush hour periods, such as the 352 and 604. Their main route is the 601, between South Delta and Bridgeport Station, a route that is also transitioning to double-deckers, making them exclusively weekday warriors. When the last 2001 Orion retired, there was a period in time where older Gen 3 Novas were assigned to select routes and turned out to be more versatile vehicles. Ouch. With TransLink's push to retire their diesel buses by the end of the decade, the Nova Suburbans face a possibly shorter service life than their older predecessors. They have only been in service for 7 years at this point and have already been pushed to the background. But do the LFS Suburbans deserve the reputation? The overall LFS platform is a highly versatile one with a decent powertrain and ride quality, but this particular configuration is one of, if not the worst on TransLink's current network, making it an uncomfortable riding experience for riders. And here is their beautiful interior again compared to the Orion and the G5, because why not? The Suburbans are closer to the G5 to being a true Orion successor, while the double-deckers, they're actually replacing the former Legends. The LFS Suburbans are unfortunately impractical, uncomfortable, and the laziest afterthoughts on the lower mainland. Okay, the second laziest. But what do you think of the LFS Suburban? Are they that bad? Or are they actually god-tier vehicles somehow with other agencies? Sound off in the comments and feel free to subscribe for more breakdowns like this. And thanks for watching.